Continuity of a function. Hello everyone. To begin, let's look back at what we have already covered. In our previous subsection, we focused specifically on the continuity of a function at a single, isolated point. However, in mathematics, analyzing one point at a time is often not enough. We frequently need to describe the overall behavior of a function across its entire existence, rather than just at one specific location. This transition from a local perspective to a global one leads us directly to our current topic, the concept of a continuous function. In the following slides, we will define exactly what this means and learn how to determine if a function is continuous across its entire domain. Understanding the concept. Now, let's move on to understanding the broader concept. It is important to first realize that a function is not merely a collection of isolated points. Rather, it is a mapping that operates over an entire domain. In our previous discussion, we focused on how to check if a function is continuous at a specific, single value. For instance, checking continuity at x equals 2 or x equals 5. However, we are now shifting our focus from a single point to the function as a whole. A function is officially called a continuous function if it satisfies the condition of continuity at every single point where the function is defined. To put this in simpler terms, imagine you can pick any arbitrary point, which we will call c, within the domain of the function f. If the limit of the function as x approaches c is exactly equal to the actual value of the function at c, and this remains true regardless of which point you choose, then the function is considered continuous. Having established this conceptual understanding, we will now move to the next slide to examine the formal mathematical definition and the specific requirements that must be met. Formal definition. Now that we have a conceptual understanding of what a continuous function is, let us move on to the formal mathematical definition. A real-valued function f is said to be a continuous function if, for every real number c in the domain of f, the following condition holds. The limit of f of x as x approaches c is equal to f of c. Now, that definition might seem a bit abstract, so to make it easier to apply, we can break it down into three manageable requirements. For a function to be continuous across its entire domain, it must satisfy these three conditions at every single point c. First, f of c must be defined. This simply means that the point must actually exist within the domain of the function. We cannot have a gap or an undefined value at that spot. Second, the limit of f of x as x approaches c must exist. For this to be true, the left-hand limit and the right-hand limit must be equal, meaning the function must be heading toward the same value from both sides. And third, the value of the limit must be exactly equal to the value of the function at that point. In other words, the limit of f of x as x approaches c must equal f of c. If a function meets all three of these criteria at every point in its domain, we can officially call it a continuous function. To help you visualize how this works in practice, let's look at a real-world analogy in the next slide. Real-world analogy, temperature chain. Now that we have established the formal mathematical definition of continuity, let us move from the abstract theory to a more concrete visualization. To help you understand what a continuous function looks like in a real-world context, consider the temperature of a room over a period of time. To help you understand what a continuous function looks like in a real-world context, consider the temperature of a room over a period of time. Imagine that the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius at 10:00 a.m. and increases to 22 degrees Celsius by 11:00 a.m. In physical reality, the temperature cannot simply jump from 20 to 22 degrees instantaneously. Instead, it must pass through every single intermediate value in between, such as 20.5 degrees or 21.1 degrees Celsius, as it rises. Because the temperature changes smoothly, without any instantaneous gaps or sudden jumps, we can conclude that temperature, when expressed as a function of time, is a continuous function. This is a perfect physical representation of the limit condition we discussed in the previous slide, where the value of the function matches the limit at every single point. Now that we have this intuitive analogy, let us move forward and see how to prove this mathematically using a specific example. Illustrative example. Now that we have established the formal definition and visualized continuity through the temperature analogy, let us apply these concepts to a concrete example. We will examine the function f of x equals 3x plus 2 and determine if it is a continuous function for all real numbers x. To do this systematically, we will follow a 5-step process. Step 1 is to identify the domain. As we mentioned in our definition, continuity is relative to where the function is defined. Since f of x equals 3x plus 2 is a polynomial, it is defined for all real numbers. Therefore, the domain is the set of all real numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity. Step 2 is to pick an arbitrary point, which we will call C. It is important to note here that to prove a function is continuous across its entire existence, we cannot simply pick a few specific numbers like 2 or 5. Instead, we use a general constant, C, to represent any possible point within the domain. In step 3, we evaluate the function value at this point C by substituting x with c in our expression. We find that f of c equals 3c plus 2. Step 4 is to evaluate the limit as x approaches c. We want to find the limit as x approaches c of 3x plus 2. Because this is a simple linear expression, we can use direct substitution, which results in 3c plus 2. Finally, in step 5, we compare our results. We observe that the limit of f of x as x approaches c is 3c plus 2, and the function value f of c is also 3c plus 2. Because the limit is exactly equal to the function value for any real number c, we can conclude that the function f of x equals 3x plus 2 is indeed a continuous function. This rigorous process ensures we aren't just guessing based on a graph, but are proving continuity mathematically. In the next slide, we will discuss some common pitfalls to avoid when performing these checks. Common mistakes. Now that we have walked through a concrete example of a continuous function, it is important to address some common pitfalls that students often encounter when applying these concepts. Let's look at the first mistake: confusing the term continuous on its domain with being continuous everywhere. Many students instinctively feel that if a graph contains a hole or a break, it cannot be classified as a continuous function. However, it is crucial to remember that continuity is always defined relative to the domain of the function. To illustrate this, consider the function f of x equals 1 over x. This function is not defined at x equals 0. Therefore, 0 is not included in its domain. Because the function satisfies the conditions of continuity at every single point where it is actually defined, we technically call f of x equals 1 over x a continuous function on its domain, despite the fact that it is discontinuous at x equals 0. Moving on to the second mistake, only checking a few specific points. A common error is to test the continuity of a function at a few convenient values, such as x equals 0, 1, or -1, and then conclude that the entire function is continuous based on those results. As we established in our formal definition earlier, to officially declare a function continuous, the limit condition must hold for every single value of c within the domain. Checking a few isolated points is not sufficient. The property must be universal across the entire domain. Keep these distinctions in mind as we move to our final slide to summarize the key takeaways of this lesson. Key takeaways. To wrap everything up, let's go through the key takeaways from this lesson to ensure you have a solid grasp of the concept. First, let's talk about the scale of what we are analyzing. You'll notice here that we distinguish between a local and a global property. While checking continuity at a single point, which we discussed at the beginning of this session, is a local property, declaring the entire function as continuous is a global property, because it describes the behavior of the function across its entire existence. Next, let's reiterate the fundamental requirement. For a function to be considered continuous, the limit of f of x as x approaches c must be exactly equal to the function value f of c, and this must hold true for every single value of c within the function's domain. This is the formal bridge between the limit and the actual value of the function. Now, if you prefer a more visual approach, think of the graphical interpretation. In the simplest terms, a continuous function is one that you can draw on a graph as a single, unbroken curve without ever having to lift your pen from the paper. If there are no holes, jumps, or vertical asymptotes within the domain, the function is continuous. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of the domain. As we saw in our discussion on common mistakes, you must always identify the domain first. Remember, a function cannot be continuous at a point where it is not defined. Therefore, continuity is always evaluated relative to the set of values where the function actually exists. Keep these points in mind, and you will be well prepared to tackle continuity problems in the upcoming exercises.